Hey everybody, welcome back to Harmon Garage. I'm Aaron, and today we're going to start part 2 of the custom hood for Rum Runner. So as you can see, it's just as I left it in the last video. Got filler put on it. This side did not turn out good, but it's filler, it'll sand off. My buddy let me borrow this air longboard. Told me to try it out. I've never used one. I've always done it by hand. So I'm gonna get my stuff plugged in, turn my compressor on, get fired up, and we'll start sanding, and I'll show you what I'm doing. I got a little bit of sanding done on this hood and put a little bit more filler on it. It sat overnight. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit more filler on it where I got some imperfections in the filler and I know where there's still some low spots, and then I'll let it sit, and then in an hour or two, when it's all tacked up and ready to sand, I'll come and sand it again. But here's what it's looking like right now. I didn't even sand this side. It was rough enough for more filler, and I knew I needed more filler, so we put some more on. This side I sanded all down smooth, found my lows, and put a little bit of filler on that, and a little more filler on there. But I'm gonna pull it outside, mix up some more mud, and slap it on there. Doing a whole lot of updating, but I've just been doing repetitive stuff. I'm putting on filler, sanding it off, rinse and repeat. So kind of, you guys ever seen the movie Sandlot when Squints is at the pool watching Wendy Peppercorn? It's kind of what it reminds me of. Just body filling, sanding, body filling, sanding. So it's just repetitiveness. I mean, this side, it just has a really skim coat of filler on a couple low spots. I got to sand out the body line, but this should be the last time I got to sand this side. This side, I got to knock down good again and kind of block it out, and then do some guide coat again, check it, see where we're at. I don't know if I've ever showed you guys doing any guide coat. So I'm gonna get that side that's almost done sanded out. When I get it sanded out, I will get this side knocked down, and then I'll fire the camera up and I'll show you guys what I do for the guide coat procedure in case you've never done it before, and it might help somebody out. So I'm gonna get back to sanding. When I get to a point where there's something new and different other than sanding, I'll grab you guys and show you what I'm doing. All right. I'm just working one area at a time. I haven't done anything more here yet. I've been sanding on this area right here, and it looks halfway decent and it feels pretty smooth. So now you heard me talking about guide coat. If you don't know what guide coat is, I don't have actual guide coat. I just have some flat black spray paint, but you can actually buy guide coat. It comes in like, there's some that comes in a little tub with a sponge and you just bat it on there. It's like charcoal almost. Or you can get aerosol spray that the nozzle's made to where it just dusts on there, and it dries like instantly, and you can start sanding on it again. But I don't have any. I have black spray paint. I don't do a lot of body work, so I'm not going to go buy any guide coat. But if I can get the lid off this paint can, what I'm going to do, I'm going to stay back pretty far, and I'm just going to dust it on there. I don't want it like put a coat of paint on it. I don't want it super thick. I want it just enough that it's pretty much covering, and it's going to dry really fast. It's kind of chilly out this morning. It's only in the 50s right now, so it'll probably take a little bit longer than normal. Yesterday it was in the mid 70s when I was doing this, and it was drying pretty quick, but I don't think it's going to dry as fast this morning. So I just go ahead and put it on there. It might look like I put a heavy coat on, but I really didn't. I just dusted it on really thin. We'll let that sit there and dry. If you don't let it dry all the way before you start sanding, you just start plugging up your sandpaper, and it just rolls the paint off. So we'll let it sit there and completely dry, and then once it completely dries, I'll bring you back and I'll show you why I did that and how it helps you out. Okay, I think this has had enough time to dry now. Feels pretty dry. I'm just going to take my sanding block here. I got a long one with some 80 grit on it. I'm just going to take and just go over it like I have been sanding it. You want to work in it. See? Clogging up my paper really bad. It's not dry yet, so we'll let it sit a little bit longer. All right, so I kind of screwed the pooch on showing you guys the whole guide coat thing. My buddy that does body and paint work stopped by to see how I was coming along with it. He's been kind of helping me out here and there, looking at it, seeing how I'm doing, and giving me some pointers and whatnot. But purpose of the guide coat is to show you where your lows are, and in turn it shows you where your highs are also. But you keep sanding down through that guide coat, and as you go down, it takes that layer of guide coat or paint or whatever you put on there off of the smooth areas and the high areas, and then you can only see it in the lows, and it shows you where your lows are, and you know where you need to put a little bit more filler and stuff like that. So I started to say before I realized it wasn't dry enough to work it, but I don't know if I told you guys this already or not, but whenever you're sanding, you want to go in a crosshatch pattern. You want to sand this way, back and forth, and then you'll switch over and go this way and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. By doing that, you're not putting any, like if you just sand straight down it, you're putting grooves and ridges, making lows basically in that spot that you're sanding. By going in a crosshatch back and forth, and working the whole area, you're covering more surface area at a time, and you're going over everything. So it's working the whole area together instead of just a little spot if you're sanding straight back and forth. So we pretty much, he came over and he was playing with it, and I was looking at it and whatnot. And so as you can see right in there, that's all black. That right in here is all black. That's that guide coat. Right there is black. That's a low spot. Right there is some low spots. Right there is some low spots. And that's what that guide coat does. You can sand it all to where it feels smooth with your hand, and you put that on there, and then you go over and sand it again, and it'll show you where it is. Now, after I get done with this body work, my buddy's actually gonna help me. He's got some epoxy primer. We're gonna epoxy this whole hood, and that'll seal it and put a good thick coating on it and all that. And then once we epoxy it, we'll put sanding primer on it, and then we'll block it out in the sanding primer and get the little defects and stuff we find in the sanding primer out. And once we get to that point, it'll be ready for paint. So this stuff here, yes, it's low spots and you can see it from the guide coat, but you can't feel it. It's so minute and so little This stuff here, so minute and so little, we're not even gonna worry about it, because you spray a good, decently thick coat of epoxy primer on there, and it kind of self-levels, so it'll help fill some of those in. And there's little enough there that even if it does still show up a little bit, we should be able to sand it out in the sanding primer. So I've just got more sanding to do. I got to put a little bit more filler on that edge where I showed you the lows were. And I got a couple little nicks and dents and stuff on the hood that I'm gonna put a little bit of filler in, but other than that, just sanding and sanding. So I'll update you guys in a little bit. All right, well, I didn't get a video out last week because I was working on finishing this hood. We got it to a point where it's ready for primer, and it's too cold. It's been too cold or too damp, raining, moisture, humidity to primer it. So I've been kind of tinkering around with other stuff, trying to get this to where we could spray it so I could keep filming the process of the hood. Well, the forecast for the next 10 days is too cold. So I'm not seeing that getting primered this week. I gotta keep moving on with stuff, and I wanna finish off this video for you guys. So I'm gonna show you where the hood's at right now, where we left off at, and then we're gonna move on to something else. So here it is. This is all smoothed out, sanded down, basically blocked out with 80 grit. Everything is, there may be one or two little spots in it that we know about, but by the time we spray the epoxy primer on it and then put a coat or two of high fill sanding primer on it, we should be able to block those spots out. I didn't want to put more filler in those spots because it's just time consuming, and like I said, we should be able to block it out of the high fill primer. So it's looking good. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. We really, literally, I just got to primer it, block it, and paint it. So I'm happy about that. Looking good. I like it a lot, but like I said, I'm kind of stuck. There's not much I can do. So next, but in the meantime, I told my buddy I'd try to have this truck done for him in like a week and a half. So I need to be focusing on it. So I've spent a couple days working on it. I got the C-notch done in the rear. I got the rear shocks on. I've got I got a lot of the stuff bolted on the top of the motor. I was waiting on some parts. Those came in. So I got that part installed so I can continue on putting the rest of the stuff on. I got to install the radiator, hook up tranny cooler lines, finish cleaning up the wiring harness, spark plugs and wires, AC lines, and then I got to put the front end back in. All very doable in a week and a half. And then I got to get it fired up and running and all that. It's throttle body, so you don't have to really tune it or nothing. Just got to get it fired up, get the timing set, and that'll be that. Now, that being said, we still have the truck gathering. Lander Chevrolet, Norman, Oklahoma, April 15th. If you've watched the videos, you know I'm sponsoring that show. You know I'm gonna be there. And you know this thing right here is supposed to go with me. Well, it's not as close to being done as old cherry pie over there. I gotta put the front end on. I have to wire the entire truck. It doesn't have those wires dangling off of those relays over there are the only wires this truck has. I gotta put the interior back together, which it's getting a stock dash, but all custom seats. Haven't decided what I'm gonna do with the door panels. Basically everything here needs to go in there, plus some seats I haven't showed you guys yet, but it's got a long way to go. So since I want to finish off this video, I'm already halfway through my day. We can't work on the hood. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble the rest of the front end here, get the headlights, the parking lights, the grill, the bumper filler, maybe even the bumper. I'm gonna get all that stuff put on here, and it should take me an hour or two. It'll be one more thing to check off the list and a step in the right direction. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna start cleaning up some parts, getting some stuff together, and we'll start slapping that together. All right, well, I haven't been getting a whole lot done. I've had some stuff going on, but we had an opportunity with the weather for about an hour today when it wasn't windy and the temperature was warm enough and whatnot to get 2 heavy coats of epoxy primer on this hood. So I didn't film it because it was let's get it done right now. So we got 2 heavy coats of epoxy on the hood. I got it sitting out here baking. I let it flash first, then I moved it out in the sun so it could really bake that epoxy on there, and I'll let that dry for till the weather's nice enough again to spray sanding primer on it. We'll do that, keep going with that. Yesterday I went ahead and got all my headlights and parking lights buffed out and ready to go. And I'm ready to start putting the front end on this thing. I got a new bumper that I ordered about a year ago. I got my bumper filler piece that goes between the grill and the bumper. I got it cleaned up and painted. And I've got my grill. You guys have already seen that. I had it in here before. So I got to get my wiring harness together so I can run it in before I put the grill on. And the bumper has to go on first. The headlights have to go on before the grill. And I have to assemble. I got to put that filler piece and stuff in the grill before I put it in. So I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna mount the bumper first. This truck took a little hit in this corner. That's why that fender was gone. That's why it didn't have a hood. And these 2 mounts are kind of tweaked, but I need to get the bumper on there to see how it's gonna sit, to know what kind of tweaking I have to do on the mounts. I already loosened the mounts up so they will move just a little bit, but I'm gonna get that bumper unwrapped, get it put on there, and then we'll see what we gotta do next. Take 2 on trying to get this bumper on. I've had a lot of struggles this week, both with this truck and with other stuff I was doing, and I was helping a buddy do some stuff, and it's been kind of crazy. I haven't got a lot done, but none of this stuff was on this truck when I got the truck. The bumper was gone, the fender was gone, the hood was gone, the grill was gone, all that stuff, so I didn't take it apart, so I didn't have the bolts, so trying to find the right bolts and all that's kind of been a struggle. I thought I had the right ones yesterday when I started putting the bumper on, and when I went to put them in, they weren't right either. So I'm 100% sure I have the right bolts now. We're gonna go ahead and get this bumper on, and then we'll move on from there. I'll tell you what, Rum Runner does not want to be put back together. This thing is fighting me tooth and nail every step of the way. Nothing's fitting. It's my fault mostly. I didn't have a lot of the parts for this truck when I got the truck. They didn't come with them because, like I said, I think it was hitting the front end, and a lot of the parts, the grill and all the lights, and sorry, I'm just taking a second glance, but the grill, all the lights, the hood, the passenger front fender, all that stuff was missing when I got the truck. Well, I thought 88 to 98 was all pretty much the same. I didn't look into it a whole lot. And the headlights are the same. The parking lights are the same. The grills will fit, but the bumper filler piece, if you have a 94 to 98, you have to have the bumper filler piece for a 94 to 98 grill. Anyways, I had a chrome 94 to 98 grill. I didn't like the way it fit, and I didn't want chrome, but I took the corner reflector and the corner parking light out of it when I ordered this grill, this black grill that I wanted to put in here. Well, I just went to put it together. They're different, they don't fit. I don't have any way to get new lights today or without ordering them and waiting for them to come. So I'm at a standstill again. I can't put the grill on until I put those lights in it. The Chevy emblem that goes in the grill is different from 91 to the 97, 98 that I took it off of the grill. So I spent a bunch of time wrapping it in vinyl, color matching the truck, making it cool. Doesn't fit. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'll show you what I got done, but I redid my wiring harness, cleaned everything up, reloomed it, routed it, tied it down, put all new bulbs in it, got my headlights mounted, got my LED lights put in there. I cleaned the front of the core support real good to get all the dust and everything from it sitting off of it. You saw I got the bumper on. It still needs to be adjusted, but I need a second set of hands to help me adjust it, and somebody to kind of stand back and look at it while I adjust it, however you want to look at it. But I can't do anything else. I can't put the parking lights in until I put the grill in, because the parking lights go in from the front of the grill. Can't put the grill in until I get the corner lenses. Just like I said, I've spent all week trying to get the front end of this truck together and finish up this video, and it's just not going as planned. So I'm gonna order some corner lenses for it, and it'll probably take a week to get here. And I'm just gonna work on other stuff. I need to get cherry pie over there done in the next 3 or 4 days, which I should be able to finish it, no problem. I just gotta get on it and do it. I need to be focusing on that anyways. I was making a video about rum runner, so I was trying to get it done. So, blah, 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 blah. Whole bunch of nothing. I didn't finish nothing. Hood looks good. Epoxy dried. It's ready for some sanding primer. Turned out real good. I like it a lot. But with all that nonsense being said, I'm gonna end this video here. Next time you see Rum Runner, hopefully we'll be able to make some real progress on it. I need to make real progress on it. I have 28 days till it has to be in Oklahoma at the show. And not thinking in its current state that it's gonna make it. It wouldn't make it right now is what I'm saying. I still have 28 days of whatever it takes to have that truck ready, because I'm not gonna not have the truck ready to take it to the show. I could drive my dually. I could hurry up and slap a motor in RJ, But my plan all along's been to take Rum Runner to this show, and come heck or high water, Rum Runner's going to the truck gathering. So that's gonna do it for this video. Hope I didn't bore you guys too bad. If you're not subscribed, please do, so you can see a video where I actually do something. Hit the like button, leave me a comment, that really helps me out a lot. I appreciate all you guys. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be able to do this. Y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.